The WWE is the world's largest wrestling company. It's one of the world's oldest companies as well, with WWE being over 50 years old. Their flagship event, WrestleMania, is also almost a half a century old as well. The company has produced some of the largest stars you could ever possibly think of, such as Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, and The Undertaker. They are a talent creating machine. They produce some of the biggest moments that people will always remember. At the same time, they are also a talent destroying machine. Doesn't matter where you come from, New Japan, TNA, WCW, Lucha Underground, there's a chance that you can get buried in WWE. This is a rant called WWE Buries Talent, and they do. A lot of talent has come up through the years through the NXT system. Many of them have been unsuccessful, such as Ty Dillinger. Never liked the guy, he had some potential. They never did anything with him. Bray Wyatt, he was always my favorite. But that loss to John Cena at WrestleMania pretty much derailed his career. He has the charisma, he has the promos, he just can't win matches. The Revival, my favorite tag teams in NXT. Tons of charisma, great in the ring, and passion. Came up to the main roster, they're plagued by bad booking and injuries. Ricochet, he was alright in NXT. He's from my home state. But earlier this year, they have him become a victim to 50-50 booking. They jobbed him out to AJ Styles. Neville also intrigued me. They barely did anything with him for 2 years. By the time they turned him heel, he became the Cruiserweight Champion. It was too late. Enzo and Cass, they experienced some success. They split him up at the end of 2017. Both got released later in 2018. AOP, one of the most dominant tag teams in NXT, came up to the main roster. And they got rid of Paul Ellering and made AOP into a bus of jokes. American Alpha had some success on SmackDown, winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles until they split them up. Chad Gable didn't really do much. Jason Jordan had to retire. Sami Zayn, the underdog from Underground, former NXT champion, came up to the main roster. Barely did anything. They turned him heel. I was going to get excited for it. And Asuka, known for her undefeated streak in NXT, they brought her up to the main roster, where she lost to Charlotte Flair, and has been looked like a clown ever since then. A lot of people from TNA Impact Wrestling have also gotten buried, such as the Dudley Boys. They brought them in, they jobbed them out to the New Day. They brought in Samoa Joe, they jobbed them out to a bunch of people too, like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and AJ Styles. RVD, he's the first of the big TNA guys to come in 2013. He barely did anything. Sting was a bust too. Lost to Triple H at WrestleMania, that's what cost him his career. If he would have beat Triple H, he would have been a success, but he lost. Austin Aries, brought him into NXT, he was alright. They brought him to the main roster where he jobbed out to Neville, and then they released him. EC3, he beat Dean Ambrose, haven't done anything with him since. Eric Young was the leader of Sanity. They came to the main roster and they split up Sanity. Bobby Roode, Rhino, Broken Matt Hardy, Mike Kanellis, TJ Perkins, the first winner of the Cruiserweight Classic. They did nothing with him. They run the broken gimmick that Matt Hardy had. Bobby Roode is not the it factor. He's not glorious. Mickie James, they brought her in. They've done nothing with her. Same thing with Rhino. A lot of these guys from TNA and NXT have came into WWE. They barely did anything with these guys. Either shove them in the bag in catering, or they job them out to Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, John Cena, or Brock Lesnar. People from New Japan have also been buried, such as Nakamura. He was alright in NXT, wasn't really much of a fan. They brought him to the main roster where he lost to Jinder Mahal, who was known for being a jobber for many years. So a guy who's beaten John Cena and Randy Orton loses to Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam. He's lost to Jinder Mahal twice. Not only that, he lost to AJ Styles the next year 500 times after winning the Royal Rumble. They have ruined this guy. He's Intercontinental Champion, but he's been barely featured on television. Tajiri. I don't really know too much about Tajiri, but I've seen his work in TNA. He was alright. He's mostly known for his time in Japan. They brought him into the Cruiserweight division, and he didn't do a whole lot either. One of the guys that they didn't do a whole lot with him, they put him back in catering. He later got released from the company. They could have done much more with him. Probably know a few places where they could have put him. Gallows and Anderson, the most dominant tag teams in New Japan. They come over the WWE, and what do? They separated from AJ Styles, pushed AJ, and kind of buried a club. Finn Balor, a big name in New Japan, a big name in NXT. He was known as the next John Cena down there. They brought him up to the main roster. He beat Seth Rollins at SummerSlam to win the Universal title. Everything was going good until he got injured. And when he got injured, they put him on the back burner for a couple years. It's really hurt him. He's barely been featured on TV. He's barely had any major feuds or programs. He's had a feud with Bray Wyatt. He's had a match with AJ Styles. That was alright, but most time he's traded back and forth victories with Jinder Mahal, Elias, got squashed by Kane. The night after TLC when he beat AJ Styles. Lost at WrestleMania Triple Threat match 2018. He also traded back and forth the Intercontinental title with Bobby Lashley. Dago Itami was another guy. However, most of his problems in WWE were to injuries. That's what cost him his career. They've also buried some of their former employees, such as Batista. They ruined him. They brought him back in 2014. They had him tap out. Let Daniel Bryan become a puppet for the Authority. Feud with The Shield. They didn't really do anything with him. He won the Rumble. He beat Del Rio at the Chamber. That's fine by that. But they did nothing after that. Alberto Del Rio, they ruined him. He came back in 2015. Gave him the U.S. title. He beat John Cena. That's good. But in 2016, they didn't do anything with him. They haven't formed a stable with the League of Nations, and they kind of went nowhere. Rey Mysterio. Brought him back this year. He has a victory over Randy Orton at Crown Jewel in the World Cup tournament. It meant nothing because Shane McMahon won it. He beat Randy Orton again at TLC. That was alright. He's had matches with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. He's won the United States Championship. However, that was after being squashed at WrestleMania in less than a minute from Samoa Joe. Then he got injured, had to vacate the U.S. title, and he had to give it back to Samoa Joe. That was also meaningless. The WWE, they can create talent. They destroyed a lot of talent. If they bury talent, it causes more damage, causes more of an impact than when you create a star. Because when you bury a star, we're all like, this guy had potential. He could do something in the company failed to see it. It's kind of a big deal. This has been their problem for well over a decade, is building stars. They haven't. They built props, which is different. So a lot of guys they brought in, they buried them, did nothing with them, put them back in catering, job them out to their big star props. Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, they're props. They're not really stars. A star is a person that can inspire future generations and build others up. A prop is just a person used for marketing reasons. Finances, money. They don't care about the fans or inspiring other generations. They're just there, be put on TV, and just make money for the company. That's it. WWE men, they buried a lot of talent, and they gotta stop. One of these days, it will hurt them, and it's starting to hurt them. They're going down in the ratings.